So test, gotta see how loudly I have to talk.
Hi, hello, welcome.
Smile like that.
It's a regular smile.
Okay.
Yes.
It's crystal clear, we've been over years, struggle straight along the way, but having you by my side makes everything okay. We're watching video clips of all types of shit, laughing out loud, we really hate this crowd, and we don't know where to go, hopefully take it slow. Lots of hustler minds will reject and decline our approach to life, and well, that's just fine. We wanna let others live because it's none of our business. We press your chest upon our mess. There's so many minds, hey, I'd like to find you. See beyond this place, we want a part of this race. We do what we can, you better tap out, man. You're about to pass out and get a break for the cloud. Why is it so hard out here? They made it so weird. Try to stay woke and humble and joke. It's fucking hard out here.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of It's Hard Out Here. As mentioned before, we figured, some of y'all might not know too much about us, and so we figured we'd do a couple of episodes to start off with to help you all get to know us. And so I'm Joel Morales, and today I'm going to be interviewing my lovely partner, Karena Ayala. Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Lovely.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
It's hard out here, huh?
It is. It's been an interesting couple of days.
Trying to get this thing rolling. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
This
really
might be your favorite episode yet because we get to talk about you.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna love it.
I mean, so to get things going, right? Let's talk about your genesis. Let's talk about your conception as an entity and a goddess. And I'm just kidding.
Ew.
Okay.
Oh, it took a second. I was like, what? What did you just say?
Yeah. Let's talk about your abodes. No. So, yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Okay.
Where you grew up, what it was like growing up in the place that you grew up in, I guess. Let's go with that. Let's see.
All right.
We got there, yeah.
I was born in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
I grew up there. I went to public school.
Yeah. As one does.
Sometimes, not always.
It's a lot more popular not to now. Or maybe just the people that we're hanging out with or hanging around.
Yeah, probably. Oh gosh, how am I not able to talk about myself?
So, okay, you're born.
Yes.
You wake up in a world.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that like everyone remembers, well, I feel like a lot of people have been talking about how they have this moment whenever they're like 7 or 8, whenever they just like realize that they were conscious and like it just like started.
Yeah.
I think about that moment all the time.
You have that moment? You remember
Yeah.
that moment?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't like remember exactly how old I was, but I think I was in school, maybe around first grade-ish. No, that was a little too far. I don't know, but I remember being in class and like I blinked and it was like everything around me was just sort of different.
You're just here all of a sudden.
It was weird.
Yeah, you became aware, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe that was just like a time where I was just like, whoa, senses are wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're like really sensitive to that also. Like, well, there's a name for it, I'm sure, right? Like, what do they call it?
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause
I've
you're
never
real-
looked into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like really into the what is it?
ASMR?
ASMR
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah, that
but,
stuff
But
is
you're also
super
into
cool.
like kinetic
Yeah.
sensory.
Like I love texture and like eating's very fun for me. Like I love watching people eat and I love eating, like the feeling of it, the sound of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some stuff that's like really gross and things like that, but yeah, I'm
That's
super
interesting.
into that.
Yeah. So, what were you like as a kid in school? What like role did you play? What archetype did you convey? Or inhabit rather?
Like the poor loner? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a best friend, like we were best friends like the very first day of school. And I think it was just because like we sat next to each other. It was very strange how like the way we decided to be friends was just like, oh, we're best friends because like we're right next to each other. So I think that's
Okay.
how it's supposed to go.
That's cool. Yeah. No,
In like
that's
kindergarten.
romantic.
I guess so. We stayed friends for a long time. until I switched schools. We talked a little bit after that, but yeah, that was silly.
But y'all were like, you said, the loner.
Well, I think it was just me. Like, I was very gross as a kid. Like, I didn't.
What? Okay.
I had like gross hair, gross teeth.
Oh.
Yeah, which is funny because like as a younger child, my brother's family was very much like, oh my gosh, you've got to make her a model. Like, she's so pretty. Like, they had these big ideas.
Oh,
and, like, yeah,
That's
I told you a little bit
interesting.
about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How did you feel about that? What, like, what
I
did
didn't
that
really
make you?
get it because I was like, I mean, I don't see it. I don't feel like a lot of people see it.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of just like left that where it was, like your family thought this, but everyone else apparently told you otherwise. Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, so I just played outside a lot. Like, I was hardly inside. I barely remember, like, even TV shows or cartoons that, like, I would watch. I know that I did, especially on, like, Saturdays. But, yeah, I just spent a lot of time outside. I was abused.
Well, okay. Let's stop there for a second. I mean, if you're able to discuss it, of course. What do you mean you were
Okay.
abused? I mean, if you don't want to, just
I
say
was
so.
physically abused. I was sexually abused.
Oh my God.
I think that's about it. Those
Okay.
were the two. Yeah.
I mean, you just said it so casually. and
Well, I
just
was like trying to like talk about, I guess, like my childhood.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, sure. All right, so that's
That's a
like
big deal.
that we can definitely put a pin in that and come back to that
yeah.
sort of because I'm sure there's a lot there to go into, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I had like I always had like one friend, and I was very silly. I loved jokes. I loved laughing. Like, I would just laugh all the freaking time.
You still
And-
kind of do.
Yeah. So I did that. I started sports. I was really
Okay.
into being competitive and athletic. Like, I think that really became more of who I was whenever I went to like middle school and high school. But I was never allowed to like go to friends' house and things like that. So I couldn't go out to the parties or whatever outings were going on. Like, I wasn't always invited, but like if I was, I'd be like, well, I can't go anyway.
Yeah. So you would hang out at home a lot? Mm-hmm. Just like school
Yeah, I
and
was
home?
watching like my brother and sister because like my parents worked constantly. Like,
Yeah.
if they weren't at work, they were at home sleeping.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So,
exhausted.
yeah.
So, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
We were just very like fend for ourselves, kind of.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to like bring up. So they weren't like really there for you necessarily. How were they supportive in your sports participation or?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, because they were supportive. It wasn't like they weren't supportive, but they went to maybe like one or two of my meets ever. You know, like I would see parents there all the time, but I mean, I just knew that mine were always working. One time they showed up and like I had no idea, and I just like broke down. I was just like, wow, this is incredible. I
That's
can't
so
believe y'all are
sweet.
here right now. Yeah, and it was like a really good race too, so I was like, this is awesome. I felt super, I don't know, loved, I guess.
Yeah.
But we did have like moments where I felt very cared for, I guess, because like we would go on vacation sometimes, and this is with my sister's dad. He took us like to the coast, and oh my gosh, I think that might have been the only vacation. No, we went to visit his family in Ohio. Yeah, but I was super close to my eldest sister. I was really close with my grandmother. We would spend a lot of time with them, went to church on Sundays. Yeah, going to the mall with like my grandmother was a really big deal. I'd always do that on the weekends, always.
Yeah.
And like I was close with my mom, like I felt really close with her. And we just spent some family time, I guess, like on the weekends. Like I don't really know when that was, but I think so because like it wasn't during school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said going to the mall with your grandmother was like a big deal, right? So what's wrong?
There's like a secret there, and I don't know if I should share it.
Oh, that's totally up to you. I mean, we wouldn't have known had
But,
you not said
yeah.
anything.
I thought of it, and because it's like, it was such a big deal. yeah. So I don't know. I think my family would hate it, but
Yeah. Your siblings might watch this. And
yeah. And yeah, so I think I will tell her because it's it's hilarious to me. So we would steal my school clothes and like other people's things because like we didn't want to spend that much money, I guess. I don't know for sure. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I would
That's not too bad.
I would steal with my grandmother at the mall
Yeah.
like every weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's not too bad. Okay, I thought it was gonna be something crazy.
Oh, they're gonna be so embarrassed by it. Like if they ever watch this, my grandmother's never gonna watch this. But whenever
Yeah.
they tell her, they're gonna be like, "What the heck?" I remember I'd make Facebook posts about things in my family that were sort of like risky. I'd be like, "Oh, I was abused," or like, "My mom didn't do this,"
Right.
and they'd be like, "Why are you talking about that? Like, how dare you?"
Well, one thing I definitely know about you is that you're very open.
Yeah.
You know, and those sort of things that you might not, or that you shouldn't necessarily mention, kind of that doesn't cross your mind for some reason. Like it just, blah.
Just, like,
You'll just
tell
blurt it out.
things, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting because
And afterwards, I'm like, "Oh gosh."
you're very, yeah, you'll realize it afterwards, and you're very open, but then a lot of times you're not, because I have to like really dig to get stuff out of you sometimes too. So I don't get it. It's just like, but I don't know. Either way, so yeah, that's not too
Trauma.
big of a deal. You know, people steal, sure, and it was a long time ago now, so what does it
gosh.
matter?
I think my eldest sister used to harp on me all the time about that. She'd be like, "Why are you putting her in danger? Like, you're so selfish. You don't care." And I'd be like, "That's true, but like, I'm gonna tell her no. Like, I'm gonna tell my grandmother no."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so you kind of that I'm sure established a perspective on like stealing, right? Like how what sort of outlook did that provide you?
I guess I really didn't care about like companies. That was one of the first times I had this whole like anti-capitalistic sense.
Okay, yeah.
But I still like. I love spending, so like it's bad. It didn't really work out. And I'm not so much a thief anymore, but it crosses my mind all the time.
Yeah,
I'm like, I could just swipe that.
constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I feel like I'm gonna talk about you as well on this because like it just brings up things in my
Yeah.
mind like.
That's fair.
I've always thought it was hilarious how like you do have these like anti-capitalist views and then you're such a big consumer and I have to like tell you to stop buying things and you don't need them. Like cut it out.
And I'm like, I do need them. And I think that's also because like I didn't have a whole lot of stuff. And then that time whenever I was with my ex-husband, I never had anything.
Yeah.
So it was like, I really want stuff, especially like things that like make me feel good or like I think are cute. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to get to the ex-husband talk a little bit, just a little bit. But okay, so you're like a teenager, you're a kid, you're stealing stuff with grandma on the weekends. You're getting
But I was
condemned by your sister.
Yeah, I was super carefree. Like nothing ever bothered me. I've always been very happy, even though like really bad things had happened to me.
Yeah.
I was still just like so happy all the time. I don't know. I was just like very stoked that like being alive was cool.
Yeah, you do have that sort of appreciation for life, like just generally speaking. You're always like fascinated by the simplest things, and it's I mean it's great. Like I think there needs to be more of that in the world.
It's
for
funny
sure.
because like you're super unimpressed about things, and like
Yeah.
I'm like very impressed by things.
Yeah, we're like opposites in that regard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's crazy.
Whenever I show you something, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you showing me this?
And I'm like dying about it.
Yeah, it's good though. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's a
think
good
it's funny.
dynamic, right? They complement each other. Who knows if there's anything negative about it? I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
I really don't care either way. Yeah. So then you're going to school. What did you participate in high school or middle school?
I
whatever?
ran. I played volleyball for a little bit, and I really loved that. I also did soccer for some time, but I don't think I was talented enough for like the high school team.
Yeah.
That, or they were like, I feel like the coaches sort of were like, well, she's a runner, and like the season's not going to be all that well, and I excelled much more in running, so they're like, well, just have her for that season or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my conspiracy theory about my athletics.
Wow. All right. I mean, sports are sketchy in general, right? Because like
Yeah.
my older brother always played sports, and I, you know, picked up on the weirdness about it, like I guess the politics, you could say, right?
Yeah, I
Like
think so.
how like they'll give athletes passing grades just so they can play or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. But-
Yeah, I only experienced that one time where like I really needed to make a passing grade or I wouldn't be able to compete. And my coach was just with me and she was just like making sure that like I did the right things. Like she wasn't like asking the teacher to just like let it slide. She was like, what does she need to do?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But those were
You
fun
were like
classes.
on board with that? You're like, hell yeah.
I was like, okay, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
It was a super hard class. I think it was geometry or algebra, and I was terrible those first few years of like school because it was like, you know, take the highest classes that you can, like the AP classes, and they're so much harder than just like regular classes, or they were for me. And yeah, and then we had practice at like 5 a.m. So I would sleep through my first period.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. I failed that class
Getting
too.
up that early as a kid, I could never.
And I could never go to sleep on time, so I was getting no
Exactly,
sleep. I
yeah,
just
I mean-
stay up all night, and I was like, frick, I
Yeah.
have to get up. I can't believe I did that. Like, that was like the most responsibility that I had, besides
Yeah.
having kids and stuff, but
Right.
like personal, I guess. Like, okay, this is what you do, and I would do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
So then, after you do all that, you graduate from high school. What's next in chapter in your life? You're still in Fort Worth, right?
Yeah.
The whole time.
So I graduate and I just know that I don't want to be there. Like I was like, I have to move out of my own house. I'm never gonna like move back in here. Like that was a success for me. It's like if I never come back here, I'm doing all right.
You're doing good.
Yeah, but I never had any plan. It was just like I go to college, I meet my husband, I'm gonna have a family. Like I wasn't thinking about like what my career was gonna be. I mean, I knew I had to go to college for a career. And at the time I was going for marketing. I had this idea that I wanted to, weirdly enough, sell things that people didn't need.
Yeah, Miss Anti-Capitalist over here. Uh-huh.
I was really into commercials and how funny they were. So I was like, I'm gonna convince people to buy stuff.
I love it.
Because
That's
of what
great.
I did. Yeah, so that's what I tried.
That's so interesting. Like just like how you have these like views and then
Back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
So dumb. Oh, I talk about this, I think, on my social media a lot. Is that I'm a hypocrite, like completely,
Right.
so much so. Yeah, that there have been many things that I've done that I'm just like, I know I've spoken out against this, and or I've made like a really big deal about it, but I'm that much of an asshole that like I'm a super hypocrite about
Well,
it.
at least you can admit to it because our society has a huge problem with that these days. You know, a lot of I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect or something like that, and it's like what is it called? Bias. You know. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on all these terms. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
At least you admit to it, so that's a really big, mature thing of you to do.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
It's hard
that's
out
good.
here.
Trying is, what really counts a lot of the times. Most of the times, trying, is a big deal because most people don't even try. And if you succeed, heck, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
But trying is a big deal, and I don't think it gets enough credit because now there's a huge campaign, I guess, against like participation trophies and stuff like that, right? Yeah. And I could get on board with that. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a little too much, maybe. Like, we don't need to be rewarding people just for trying, but like, hey, it's good effort. It sucks that you didn't make it, right? You gotta try it again.
Oh gosh. Well, at the time, like whenever I was going through that, I didn't admit that I was a hypocrite. I, was just like trying to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't until way later that I was like, oh man, I was wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, you're also a kid,
Yeah.
right? Like most kids are loony. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's just little balls of anxiety and outbursts, and
Yeah, for sure.
well,
So I went to
so
college.
you're doing the marketing thing.
Yeah, but I was just doing like my general classes because it was like the first, semester, first year, and I had gotten a scholarship to this super tiny college private school in Missouri, and yeah, unnecessary for me to go up there because it was super expensive. Like my scholarship barely made a dent in it, so it was like I don't know.
Oh wow.
I don't really know why we did that. I think because the whole like, oh, you're getting a scholarship like for your sport, like this is a big deal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's just why we did that. I don't know. I wish I would have like been more aware of like how you go to school and the process, and like we're just signing all these papers because it's like what we're supposed to do. And I remember signing these and like giving it to my mother, and like, you know, she doesn't know what she's doing either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just the reason. I remember all my friends were going to Stephen F. Austin, and I had applied and gotten in there, but we were just like, the scholarship, it's good.
Right. No. Yeah.
It was going to be cheaper if I had stayed and gone to SFA, actually.
Yeah.
I yelled at my mother for that. We were in Missouri at this restaurant.
Wow.
And I'm like just losing it. And I was like, this was not a good idea. Like now I'm here, I'm going to this school, and it would have been cheaper to be in Texas. Yeah, it was rough.
Drama. You did that in a restaurant?
I wasn't like very big, like, but I was like aggressive. Yeah.
You, who hates to make a scene anytime we're in public?
Yeah, absolutely. It's embarrassing. So I don't know. It must have been a hormonal time, I guess, a very high stress time. We had driven like 10 hours, and I'm away from my high school boyfriend, you know, and it's like, what am I doing out here? Like, there was really no reason for me to be up there.
Aww.
I could have been running at SFA. I had the option to go to UT Arlington and ran there too, but I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you had options. That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I was accepted, but like I had to, you know, do the whole remedial classes or whatever because my grades were terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just didn't know enough. We took that scholarship or whatever. I remember my stepfather being like, it's okay, like just calm down. Like she didn't know either. And I was just like, I think I was just like having a mental breakdown of like, this is what my life's become. Like, this is what I'm about to do. And like, this is so jacked up.
Over. You ruined it. Everything. Never gonna have a chance to recover.
Maybe.
No.
But I did terribly out there, so.
Yeah. So like, what I'm wondering is maybe the lack of guidance. Like, how come that happened? Were your parents not aware? Obviously, you mentioned that they weren't really. What about like your older siblings? Like, did anyone else go to college? Had they not gone through these processes before?
No. So I have two older sisters, and one of them didn't go to college, and the other one did, but I didn't grow up with her. She grew up with her father.
Oh, okay.
So we only saw her every once in a while. I had no idea what the process was like for her, what she went through.
Man.
Yeah, but I mean, the way she described it, it was like a great thing. Like everyone should do this,
Right.
go to school. And that's really all it was. It was just like, go to school. But nothing about like, how much is it going to cost and what is it going to look like? And you're going to be on your own. Maybe I wasn't listening, you know, because I was just so very loopy and just like in my own world. If people told me, maybe I didn't take it in.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's really hard to tell, right? I definitely wasn't there to say much about it. I'm trying to think from my experience, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of try to do my best to listen to people, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I got fed the same kind of message. You know, hey, you got to go to school. This is good. Do it. Do the thing. And of course, I have my regrets about that, but you know, it's whatever. All right. Well, then, so you said you didn't do so well there.
No.
What was that like? That experience like?
So, like, being out on my own, I was super happy about that. So I was just, like, really loving the freedom. I even got a really strange thing happen for the dorm rooms. I was paired up with, like, a senior, and that doesn't usually happen for, like, newcomers, like the freshmen.
Okay.
And she was actually living with her boyfriend on campus or off campus. And so even though she was like my roommate, she was like, I'm never going to be here. You can just have the room. And it was this
That's kind of cool.
big old room. Yeah. It was just like completely mine. And it was like so interesting. But like my parents gave me an allowance and
Dope.
it was good. And like I had it made. But I just did not care about school like as much as you're supposed to. I was very much into finding that relationship and like becoming, I don't know, I guess settled down. You know, I was already ready for like whatever that next part was. Like I was like, oh, okay, now I'm an adult. Now I'm going to be married and stuff and have a family and be taken care of, or, you know, whatever that was going to be. But you know, going to class was very difficult. I had signed up for all AM classes like as early as possible because somebody was like, hey, do all your classes at the beginning because you'll have the rest of the day to just do whatever you want.
Yeah, that was common. I heard that
Was it?
in college as well. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
did take like one 6 a.m. class. But
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I never made it to class because
Oh, really?
I was up late partying and
Yeah.
So that didn't work out so well. Failed a lot of classes. I don't even think I got to compete because I had failed my classes. I don't remember competition the next semester.
But you did run one semester.
I think so. I remember going to practice and being there.
Wow.
I don't think I got to compete.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like you would remember something like that.
Yeah.
Where you seem kind of like unsure, you know.
I am very unsure because like I'm trying to picture like I have so many memories of my high school meets, but like my college
They
meets.
kind of trump the college experience. Yeah.
Like I remember being at practice. I remember going through all the things. I just don't remember a competition. But I feel like I did because like I'm starting to. Yeah, because I went to an indoor meet too. And I remember calling my coach and being like, I don't know how to do this. I've only ran outdoors. Like, I've never been to an indoor stadium.
Oh, does that make a difference?
It does. It's a different track. Some of
Meaning-
them are banked. So
yeah, but-
an outdoor track is 400 meters around, and an indoor track I think is 200 or less, or somewhere between 200 and 400.
Okay.
I don't remember because I don't keep up with it. But yeah, I had never run anything like that, and so
Well, I have a
my
question
game
real
was
quick.
super
I
different.
should kind of know this off the top of my head, but I'm not thinking about it. Don't want to think about it. What difference does that make in like your time and like?
So I was a 100 runner and a 200 runner, and that's different outside because it's different parts of the track. So like the 100 is a straightaway and the 200 is the curve plus the straightaway. In an indoor track, it's not as much. So if I remember this correctly, I think the indoor track is 200 meters, so that's all the way around. So you have to prepare for that type of race with like running the straightaways and running the curves and doing that 2 times when on the outside you'd only do it once, one curve, one straightaway.
Okay.
So it changes your technique. Yeah. I mean, it did for me
Interesting.
because like I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know how to run this race. And I figured like I called my high school coach instead
Yeah.
of like talking to my college coach
Oh wow.
who would have, given me the answers too, I'm sure. But yeah, I just felt super unprepared for it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
But I really loved running fast. I loved track and field. It was super fun.
Yeah. Okay. So then you're doing this indoor meet. Yeah.
I have no idea how I did.
You don't know. Yeah.
No idea. I think it was probably not great, or I didn't feel very good about it, just because I was so nervous. Maybe, yeah.
So all right, and then during this time, you're still like doing marketing, but you're not going to class.
Yeah, but it was just the general classes anyway. So
Oh,
I
it
was
was-
like doing, English, history, math,
Yeah.
all that kind of good stuff.
I forget what there's like a term for that, man. Oh gosh, it's been
Your
so
general-
long. Is it just general? No, because general studies is like, it doesn't matter.
I think it's your general studies. Like your first 2 years are usually supposed to be
general
like those
studies,
basic
right?
things.
Yeah.
Your prerequisites.
Prerequisites. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I remember taking a philosophy of religions class, and it was like my earliest class, and it was just like horrible. I couldn't get through anything. I couldn't retain any information.
Oh no, yeah, super boring for you. Yeah, I
be
would
like
have loved
trying
that
to-
class.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you would have liked it.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, the first intro to philosophy is what got me into it. I was like, oh. But anyways, okay, and then what happens next after this whole college, the good old college try doesn't work out so well? You're out on your own. Do you?
Yeah, like barely. I was barely out on my own. I lived with my boyfriend at the time, his grandparents in the town, or maybe in a town next to the college.
Hold on. How long were you in school for out there?
A year.
A year.
A year.
When did you meet? How long did you know this guy for?
I met him in the first semester. We were on the same team.
And you lived with him at his grandparents.
I mean, we lived together basically as soon as we started dating.
What? All right, that's crazy.
So I was dating somebody in high school, and it was very serious. Like, we were both like very.
But this isn't the same guy.
No.
Okay,
We were very committed to each other. I was not. Oops, sorry. I was not that committed because I'm a terrible person.
Sorry.
But like we had talked about, like getting married and stuff, and even his parents were on board with that kind of thing. They gave us like paperwork that the church would give us because he was a Baptist. Yeah. When we get
What paperwork? What kind of paperwork?
questions like to discuss how you two are going to deal with things, like what's your relationship like, how are you going to represent God in your relationship, like how are you going to deal with these things. Yeah.
That's fun.
So I was like, whoa, this is wild. And I was like, I'm not religious. Why am I doing this? I was, with my boyfriend, like, we're going to be married.
Forever that you've known for 2 months.
No, this was the high school.
Oh, the high school boy. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. And then when I went to college, I was like, whoa, there's so many guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this is where I'm going to actually meet my husband. Instead of like breaking up with him and like doing the right thing, I was already like talking to people. And then I was like, hey, I think we should go on a break. And that was, a whole thing. But when I met my college boyfriend, that was also a bunch of weirdness. Yeah, we started dating probably 5 months into me being there, probably less, but he lived on campus in his own apartment with some roommates, and then I lived in my dorm, and he would always visit, or I would just go stay with him. Yeah, and then when summer came, we had been together for 6 months, 7 months?
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, we were very serious too. I had met everyone in his family.
Oh my gosh.
And I was living with his grandparents.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. It's not good. Don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's tell all the grown adults out there, hey, don't move in with your college boyfriend after 6 months, well, it was sooner than that, right? You had already kind of been living together.
Yeah, I mean, we had been living together on campus and like.
Right, like so it was kind of like living together essentially. I think that's so fun. I think there is a tendency to like when you're a young adult like that and you have your own place, but you're like constantly like you'll stay over at your partner's place or they'll stay at your place all the time. And you're just like, well, we pretty much live together already. Might as well just do it,
Yeah.
It's a very naive thought for sure.
Although I do think that people should live together before they decide to get married, so that way you know what you're getting
Oh
into.
yeah. I've always felt that for sure.
Or go on vacation together. That's a good one.
That's a good tell. I can think of like some friends that went on trips with it. Well, I've gone on like trips with some exes before, and I'm just like, that was horrible. Like,
Live and learn.
Yeah. We did good on our trip.
Which one?
All the way to El Paso.
Yeah. Well, that was just the two of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the one that was with everyone else, we didn't go together, but I mean we stayed together, and that was rough.
It was rough. But it was like,
we got through it.
It was still okay. Like, it was stressful and, like, terrible for two people specifically. But everything else was okay-ish.
Yeah, no, it was just, yeah. It was definitely
That episode's going to be fun.
a key
We're going to cry.
defining moment in my, my experience in like deciding whether or not, okay, is this what I'm gonna do, or
Is this your future? Is this what's happening?
right? Yeah, that was crazy. My goodness, that was a trip. Woo. So anyways,
So tell me. Yeah, so I'm living with his grandparents, and I'm like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna move to like the big city that's nearby. I'm gonna go to community college, and I'm trying to get into this apartment, and it turns out I'm not in this apartment, and I've got all my stuff on a trailer and I just don't know a freaking thing. And they're like, yeah, you actually weren't approved. You need a cosigner. If you have someone to cosign with you today, you know, we can get you into that apartment.
That kind of stuff, that like just speaks, I mean, not only like we have like 2 points now, 3 more probably, but like this experience specifically speaks to like how it's so hard out here. It's difficult. Like nobody told you like, hey, you got to sign the lease first and make sure you're in before we move you out of your current place and have all of your stuff on a trailer. And you like pull up and they're like, oh, you didn't get approved. Like what? Like
They're
that's
like, but
crazy.
you will be approved if you get a cosigner. So just like, you know, and I guess they just thought that was going to be so easy.
Yeah.
But I had nobody to rely on. No one. And I think I had actually just called my biological father to like continue going to school. I was like, hey, I'm short $900, but we never got in contact. Like he never called me back or whatever. And so like I had no one to turn to. I couldn't go to my mother, not my stepfather. Like they couldn't sign on anything. They weren't financially doing well. And I think I had, you know, my older sister, and she was like, I can't, you know, I just did this and that. And I had nobody else, but she was like, just come live with me. And I was like, okay, well, that's better than living with mom and dad, so I'll do that.
Oof, man. But y'all were close
We
growing
were
up.
really close, very close, super duper close.
And how was your relationship at that time?
At the time, it was great.
Yeah, it was still good.
Super good. I had allowed, you know, things to happen and just moved on with it, and was just like super, super close. We were almost inseparable. Like we talked all the time.
Okay.
And yeah, so I moved in with her and didn't go back to school. I had served at a small Mexican restaurant in Missouri, so that was like my first job experience. My stepfather didn't want me to work while I was going to school because he wanted me to focus on school. And he was like, well, I mean, since you're not going to school right now, then, you know, you're kind of doing your own thing now.
So real quick, so you never worked like in high school and
No.
never worked
in
after high school?
Nope, just after that first year of college and living in that summer.
That was your first job ever? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't even think I was like trained. I remember like just starting and being like, whoa, this is wild. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't understand what they were like asking sometimes. And
Yeah. Right. No, I definitely remember being there in that boat. Like, what?
Yeah.
What is it? What's going on? Yeah.
And then I had gotten hired at Texas Roadhouse in Amarillo because a family friend. Yeah.
Some fun stories there.
That is a wild place. If anybody knows working at Texas Roadhouse, like, I'd love to know your story. Like, what was it like working for you at that place? Because for me, it was wild.
Well, I mean, I feel like the service industry in general is just wild, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a bunch of sluts.
yeah, like that movie
Waiting?
Yeah, you know, like
That's the best movie.
it looks like so much fun, but I don't know.
It is a lot like that.
Like toxic.
It is so toxic, but it is a lot like that, and it is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. You have a great time, and if you don't have your life together, you're gonna fall into like the bad areas. You're gonna live terribly, stay up all night, be an alcoholic. You know, it's gonna be rough.
And you can make some good money doing that.
You make
right?
amazing money. It's such good money.
One of my like big things that I take from that sort of lifestyle or whatever is just like, how do these people have all this money and then they like don't have money though? Like they're just blowing it, right?
Yes.
They're just spending it on partying.
They're going
or
to other bars and they're drinking and they're, you know.
Or just buying like gadgets and gizmos and just like chilling, like
maybe.
just entertaining themselves.
Possibly. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but yeah.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, I'm not trying
But for
to...
me, I was blowing my money going out. You know, I remember one time I was going back home, like after work, and I was gathering up my things, and like I always put my money in one place so that way I could collect it and everything. And I was going through a bag that I had left in my car, and there was like $80. I was like, whoa, cool. But I was just like mismanaging everything.
Yeah, everything's just scattered all over the place. No organizations.
Yeah, completely.
I feel like that's a lot of people, though. Most folks, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
but I
not,
was like 19. I had no idea about like financial responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, some people were telling me to like save and like put things away. I know my sister was definitely trying to because I was living with her and she saw that like I was going out all the time. And I think there was at one point where she was like, well, you know, why don't you pay rent and I'll take that money and I'll give it to grandma, you know. So, you know, you're not helping me, you're helping the family or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know.
Okay, that's a nice little arrangement. Sure. Okay. So then, what was living with your sister like? Everything went pretty smoothly?
Yeah, pretty much. But like her and her husband didn't like how often I was going out,
Yeah.
and then like it was disruptive for their
Yeah.
kids. So they were basically like, why don't you just get your own place?
Okay.
And so I did, and I also didn't like that like they were harping on like what I was doing, like if I was living there and paying rent. And I was like, well, what do you care? But I mean, I get it. I was just a young kid doing whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
So I did get my own place, and I was living on my own. That was the first time besides like college, and I was barely staying there. Like I was always out. I was staying with my friends, or I was sleeping with people, and yeah. So that was rough.
Okay. And this is all Texas Roadhouse. You
Yeah,
were
all
there
Texas
the whole
Roadhouse.
time.
Yeah, I really liked it there. I kind of thought it had a good structure. I was like, oh, well, I can be a server, and then I can, maybe be a manager. Maybe I can be in the restaurant business. But I kind of also thought that I would go back to school when I was ready and get back into the marketing thing.
Yeah. Okay. So you did have like ideas and thoughts about what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna be here forever now? Like, what's going on?
A little bit, but I was just like still, I just wanted to do my own thing, and I would kind of rely on that. I would meet my partner, and I would have a good relationship, and it would be like that was a thing.
So constantly, like, really having that on your mind, right? Just
Yeah, absolutely. It was like have a good time, have a good relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, like we had said in my interview, is like, yeah, that's one thing that you and I kind of shared, right? Like, I definitely harped on that too, especially going through like college and just being so freaking lonely and sad all the time because I didn't have a girlfriend. Or it was super silly and pathetic.
No.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, see, I was like the opposite of that because like I would hook up with people and I would have relationships, but I was not good in them. Like I wasn't committed. I wasn't taking care of people. I left my high school boyfriend. When I got to Amarillo, I left my college boyfriend. And then I had met somebody at the restaurant, and we were dating, and it was terrible, but I was still like trying to just do whatever. Even though I wanted that partner, I wasn't putting in the effort at all. I would pretend that I was or act like I was.
And so you knew that you were doing that? Like you were conscious? You were aware that, I could, like, I know what kind of effort is required, but I'm not going to do that really.
No, I thought I was doing like a decent job. But I knew that like it was shady of me to be like sleeping around or cheating on them because like I literally... I think I've told you this before, but I've cheated on every boyfriend I've had except for you.
Yeah, man. That's exactly what a cheater would say, sure. And?
No, because we started off polyamorous, so it was okay. We talked about everything. Like, you knew about everything.
Oh, the jig is up. I don't know. I mean, the people that know us know that about us, but, well, we're not like polyamorous in the strictest sense, right?
Or in the most commercial way that like everybody is.
Yeah, we're just like we're open to a degree, like we have certain like conditions and arrangements, agreements,
we have boundaries.
I mean, everyone has boundaries, but like
Guidelines?
Guidelines, sure, whatever.
I don't know what they call them.
We have a contract.
Yeah. We have that. Yeah. So I mean, I did and didn't know, and like I knew I wasn't great, but I also like I wouldn't treat them badly. I wouldn't be aggressive to them. Okay. I was a good girlfriend, just not faithful. So I was a liar.
So like yeah, I was gonna say on the surface you were.
I was manipulative.
On paper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You looked pretty good.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you have
I was
like
very appealing.
the couple's photo up on the wall and stuff, and like, oh, how sweet, really and then you're just like fucking around the whole time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I love that and I hate that all at the same time. So
it's rough. It was rough. It was bad. Like, there's some things that I do feel bad about, and yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, that means you have like a moral compass.
Yeah, growth, I guess.
So, and you didn't feel bad about it while it was happening, or you kind of did?
No, because I was. I mean, like, I didn't want to get caught, so I would
Sure.
feel a little bit bad. And there was one girl that I did feel bad about it during the time, but like I didn't stop myself from still being shitty
Yeah.
because like I still wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, I was
100%.
just like,
I can get that.
yeah, I was super hedonistic, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
And I had no idea
Yeah.
what that was.
That's funny. My experience was complete opposite. I was just like not hooking up, not like really like doing a great job at socializing because I was always introverted, you know, and just like shy, and I never wanted people to think badly of me, like I was dumb or slow. That one always
yeah.
really stuck with me.
Oh my gosh, me too, yeah.
Because I hung out with some pretty smart kiddos, you know, and I could take it all in and whatnot, but I always felt like I was the slower one in the group, you know, and I would just hang out and I was like nice, so everyone liked me. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so I can only imagine what that was like. I mean, I just had a complete opposite
Well, you know,
experience.
I was like super introverted and lonely too. Like I never really had friends. And whenever I came to Amarillo, like I would like hang out with some of my sister's in-laws that were around the same age as me. And so that was cool, but like I wasn't friends with them. I just tagged along. And it wasn't until when I was working at Texas Roadhouse that a couple of the girls would like befriend me, and then my best friend at the time, her husband was there like cleaning or like helping her or just waiting around. And we became friends actually
Okay.
first. So like him and I were very, very close, and then our friendship developed with her.
Oh.
And that's whenever like I started like going out with people. Like she would bring me places. Like she was like showing me things. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it. Like I would have like showed up to a work party every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
I was very loner. But
Wow.
with her, like I really let loose. Like me and her were dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Once you have someone else to do things with. See, that's what I'm saying. Like how I mentioned before, it's like once you have someone to do things with, it's like, yeah, it's a little easier for some reason. For me, it like establishes a sense of confidence, you know, because I'm like reassured by the fact that at least this person likes me.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know?
And like, yeah, we could do no wrong pretty much. So like I had her support in like all my mischievous things. So
there you
yeah,
go.
I mean, she would definitely be like, well, that's not very good.
Oh, really? Yeah.
She definitely had a sense of like right and wrong much more than I did. But she would just be very accepting
Okay.
of that. Like I was going to do whatever I wanted.
As a good friend can be, but then that can also be dangerous because it can be enabling.
Yeah.
You know, enabling.
Yeah.
But so then, so you meet these people, you're hanging out with them. Does that what happens next? Like you're still at the Roadhouse, you're figuring
Yeah.
things out. Like you're gonna go back to school, you're not. What?
Yeah, I think I had kind of thought about it, but like it was confusing for me because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to transfer.
Okay.
You know, like because it mattered that I had gone to school before and flunked out. I'd have to still make up for those debts that I had. Like if I wanted to pay for it through student loans or anything, I had to settle up what I had done before.
Okay.
And so it was all so overwhelming for me that I was just like putting it off as much as I could because I did
Yeah.
not want to do it. And I
Right.
was like, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to end up going through all this. So I was just like pushing it away as much as possible.
Yeah, that might have been a good move, you know. Seriously, I mean, yeah, you don't want to get
Yeah.
involved in something that you're not too savvy
Yeah.
on, and you get screwed over again.
And I had no idea how to like ask for help too. So I was always very like nervous, about anything in my life or like any kind of direction. So I never wanted to like ask for guidance because it just made me anxious and nervous. So I was just like scared
Wow.
of everything.
There's still a little bit of that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's still there.
Oh,
for
it's still strong, I guess.
sure. Yeah. Well, that's
The
why, like,
force is strong
I can't
with
make
you.
decisions.
Yeah.
The force is terrible with me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like strong in the sense that it really like keeps you from doing
Yeah.
the things.
So I turned into a bartender, and then
Oh, okay. So there's some
Yeah.
change there. Huh?
well, I had started bartending at Texas Roadhouse, and then I got sort of scouted by this guy who was opening up a new place in
Oh.
Amarillo, and he was like, you know, I want you to come be one of our head bartenders, and I was like, cool. It was so much money and terrible, like, living, I guess, because I'd stay up super late,
Yeah.
and then, you know, not really have a whole lot of the day because I'd be sleeping, but then I'd, you know, go out and do things and then go to work at night. So that was weird, but
Yeah, I mean,
really
classic
good money.
service industry for sure. I always like romanticized that in my head because I mean the times that I was out, you know, all the time at bars and stuff, I'm like, man, these guys have like they seem like they have a good life. Like they
And
come,
we were having a lot of fun.
hang out. Yeah, they just have exactly. That's what it looked like. It looked like it was fun because they would go to work, but then they'd also go to like every other bar and every other like venue or whatever, and just go hang out. And they're
yeah.
part of the scene, part of the culture. And I always kind of envied that too. But I was like, but I know that it's not like sustainable and it's not like healthy in the
Yeah,
long
because
run.
I didn't have anything saved. I wasn't learning any type of like, I guess, life lessons, or not lessons, but like things to do. Like, how was I going to support myself? You know, so
You know what? I kind of want to take back what I said a little bit, just because maybe there are people out there that can make it work,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they have
Yeah,
made
yeah.
it work,
Absolutely.
right? They become super successful. So I'm not trying to like bash on the culture or anything.
no, but in my case, it was very much like what you're describing.
Yeah, that seems maybe like that might be a little bit more typical, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
Because like I was in that industry, but I didn't get back to it. Like now that I'm back in the industry more seriously and on my own, I see it like how these people have made careers out of it and
Yeah.
actually are succeeding.
Right.
Yeah. So like I see that a little bit more. But I in that time in between, I had only taken like a couple serving jobs. And just been in and out, you know, because like of the situation that I was in. And yeah, now it's very different. I mean, now I'm the GM of a
Right.
restaurant.
Yeah, a totally
So
different
weird.
role.
Yeah.
Is that weird for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I started as a server there.
Sure, yeah.
And I think, you know,
But I mean, yeah, because you were barely coming out of your situation. Yeah.
bartending there, and in between all of that stuff, I was dating somebody and like in and out of that relationship. And then I met my ex-husband, and you know, he completely pulled me out of all of my friends, all of my family. And you know, it wasn't just him, but like I made these decisions because of what he was telling me and how I felt, and I thought it was the right thing to do. And like during that whole time, I had like attempted careers and things, and he was like acting as if he was helping me and stuff. And I had different jobs, but I never could stay in them because I was untrustworthy. Like our relationship, or the way our relationship started, was really rocky and terrible. That, you know, the whole time I really felt like I had to prove myself to him, and he really used that against me a lot.
This is with your ex-husband, right? So.
So like I never had a career. And like when I did go back to school was during that time, and it was such a strict environment, but I really loved going back to school because I felt like, oh, I'm learning so much more now. Like I actually like this, and I liked learning, and I liked going to class. And you know, I'm realizing it's also a little bit of escape because I was away from my ex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever
sense.
I did finally get free, you know, I had even attempted quite a few things during that time, and I think that's on my social media a lot, like all these things that I tried to do but never did anything. Like, oh gosh, essential oils, baking business, oh my goodness, what else? Just these grand ideas, tattoo artist. Man, I'm blanking on like so many of them because I know that there were tons that I just never completed them. But then when I was finally out on my own, I was like working at HEB and trying to figure out, okay, I've got to get to the next thing. What do I do now?
And that's when we met, when you were at HEB.
Yeah. And I was working overnight as like essentially a janitor. You know, I was cleaning the store, cleaning the departments. And,
Yeah.
that was wild. And it was like the best paying job that I'd had besides serving. Because it was like, what, $15
The hourly
an
rate
hour?
was higher than what you usually get serving. But I mean, on paper, right? Because serving tips probably equate to a little bit higher than that.
And so like that was part of the reason why I was doing it. So it's like I need something to where I can get into like my own place. Like I need.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what were you saying? You were
Trying to make it out here as an adult, right?
you hadn't really had like experiences trying to.
So really all I knew was that like, okay, I've got to work. That's all I've got to do.
Right.
But I also have to
it basic.
be available for the kids. And so that was interesting. You know, I knew I couldn't stay at HEB, or I had to figure out how to change what I was doing and like make a little bit more. But it just was not an option.
Yeah.
So I went to serving, and it was actually your idea to apply at this one restaurant, Kirby Lane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I got in, and that was wild.
Shout out.
Yeah, so I started serving there, and it felt really good to be back in serving. Like I felt comfortable
I
being
remember
myself.
that, yeah. You were pretty happy about it at
Yeah.
first. At first.
Yeah, because that restaurant was weird too. You know, management really matters.
Makes a big difference, I would think.
does.
So sorry about that, guys. We're back. Okay, so management makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it really
at
does.
Restaurants.
And I did like my managers, but it was just, it's different. It's different. But somebody that I was working with there was like, hey, you should go check out this restaurant. Like, I used to work there, and it is wild how much money you make. And so we went and checked it out on a Saturday just to see what the restaurant was like and be like, is this where I want to work? And that was funny. So
The server had the same name as me.
yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Except it wasn't, because his name was Joel.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
It's not the same.
Okay. So
Yeah. So now I'm like out on my own trying to figure out life, and it is so hard.
it's just so interesting because you were in this relationship where this guy just like isolated you and didn't let you have any experiences really for like room for growth and development, and you were just like stuck. You were like prisoner, in this relationship, and that whatever home you might have had, and like the kids as well, and this guy's just like a lunatic. I'm sorry. He was just, I remember the
really
first
is.
date we went on and you started telling me about him. I was just like, oh, he kind of sounds like a narcissist. Is that like accurate to say?
And I was like, yeah, he is.
and I'm like, how old is this guy? And I found out he's like
when
he's
you found out
11
his
years
age,
older
you
than
were
you.
like,
And I was like,
what?
whoa, he's acting like a 20-year-old. Like, that is crazy. And I understand, like, hey, some people just, it's not their fault. They were exposed to a lot or whatever. They had a rough upbringing, blah, 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 blah. Excuses. That's fine to some extent. Because I was like, dude, he's old. Like, he should have fixed this stuff
There
a
should have been
long
some
time
time
ago.
in there where he tried to work on himself at all. He is also an alcoholic, and he's just so smart. So like he would think that like therapy or like working on things, like he's just too good for that. I remember I did get him into therapy. Like, I had to do all the work. I had to find him his therapist. I had to get him his appointments, and I was like, here you go, like, this is it, like, go to it. And I think it was because of like his CPTSD. We were like, let's address this. Like, at one time ever, he was like, yeah, I do need help for this or whatever. And so I did all of that, and I got him his appointment, and this therapist happened to be leaving. They never told me this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe tell your new clients that you're going to be leaving, and maybe you shouldn't take on new clients. But yeah, so she ended up leaving her practice, and I don't know what she was doing, but
With
2 weeks or so.
that system, with like the mental health system,
It's so difficult.
that's not the first time you experienced. I mean, that was the first time you experienced that, but you experienced it
Ongoing.
again later. Like, these therapists are just like quitting and like taking new patients and then quitting, and it's just like, yo, that's like not okay.
Yeah.
These people have mental health issues.
Yeah, and they're trying to get help, and they're trying to be consistent, and they're going to it, and it was so difficult. Like, I think the most recent time when I was trying to get a therapist for my son, we had an appointment. He's going to show up at our house, and he calls me or texts me that same day, and he's like, I left this company, so we're not going to have an appointment today. I was like, cool.
And like, look, I get it. It's hard out here, sure, but like, give some notice. Jeez, don't lead people on like that. Like, come on. Maybe that's a lot to ask. I don't know. I don't think it is, but
because like, we don't know what they're going through.
Right,
We don't know what their work
sure.
situation's like. So I was like, I'm understanding of it, but it is tough, especially if you're trying to get the help.
exactly. That's my issue with it. That's what bothers me so much about it, is that it's mental health issues, and you're just like treating people as if they're not important, and that's not good for someone who's struggling with mental health.
I know, it was hard
But
on my son, actually.
whatever, right? I'm not an expert. I don't know anything.
No, but we're going to put in our 15 plus cents. Like, 2 cents is not enough.
Whatever.
I'm giving it all.
We're all just a bunch of dummies trying to figure it out, and people don't like to admit it. My exercise physiology professor said something really, in my opinion, brilliant that stuck with me for forever. It's still stuck with me. And he said, there are people out there that are geniuses or really intelligent, but they're only geniuses and intelligent in one thing, and they're a dummy in everything else.
Isn't that what they say about like smart people? That like they're very
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
simple in certain things.
Yeah. Like they don't understand
Yeah.
everything. It's just like they're really good on one subject, or like a handful of subjects, but then they're like a dummy when it comes to other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always
I've heard that.
yeah, kept that in mind, like, okay, yeah, you're super smart in one area, that's cool, but maybe not so great in other areas. But either way, going back to your experiences, getting out of this relationship,
Yeah. So like I wasn't ever doing anything like exciting. Like I had to really fight for being able to see my absolute favorite band since I was like 15 years old. They were coming literally right down the road, and like I was like, hey, let's go to this concert, because it's my absolute favorite band. And like he doesn't care at all, but I'm trying to include him because I'm like, why would I do it on my own? Like I have to include him. And I don't know what happened, like how I had the ability to like get some cash like to myself and like do that. I think it was like a birthday gift or something. I was like, I'm buying this ticket, like it's mine, I'm going. And I remember that just being such a struggle just to go to this concert. But I finally went, and like that was such a big deal. I was freaking out at this concert. I was all by myself.
That's good.
And yeah, it was really lovely. But at the same time, like it wasn't, because I, get there, he drops me off, and I know that as soon as the music's over, I have to like
go back,
get out immediately. I have to make sure I'm on time to him picking me up, so that like
yeah, otherwise he's gonna pop his top.
Like, what's going on? Yeah.
Well, I'm so sorry that you ever had to go through all of that, of course. And
thank you. I mean, it's my own doing. I allowed things to happen, but being in an abusive relationship is a very weird thing to maneuver. Like,
yeah, because they just happen.
Yeah, you allow things to happen, and then it goes way out of your control.
You don't know that it's happening, really. I mean, at a certain point you realized, obviously, but this one lasted, 13 years?
Yeah.
So.
Like, I mean, I met him when I was like 20, 21, and then when I was 36, whenever I was like officially like out.
Yeah. We celebrated your 36th birthday. Yeah, together.
That was wild.
Yeah. But I mean, that there is a whole lot there that we can get into, and we will get into eventually, with other episodes, I'm sure. But thank you so much for letting us interview you and putting yourself out there like that.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's a big deal, I mean, I guess we're kind of used to it with social media and whatnot, so it's easier to do it through like a camera opposed to like in person, because both of us have our anxieties about that for sure. But like
Absolutely.
we seem to do okay on camera for some reason, or
I only shook
on
a little
the line.
bit.
You only shook a little bit.
Small victories.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us again, and we'll catch you next time. All right.
Like, subscribe, comment, ask questions.
Talk shit.
Pew, 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 pew. Ooh, buy guns. Buy guns.
It's fucking hard out here.